Welcome to the Legend of Ted's analysis of the Last Breath of the Wild trailer. Please enjoy. First of all, this game looks absolutely gorgeous. I love the art style, I love the scenery, and on the Switch it looks crisper than ever. But in this scene here, the first thing I thought of was Snow Peak Ruins from Twilight Princess. Wouldn't this be the perfect place for something like that? I doubt we'll see the Yeti and his wife again, but I'm imagining a village among the peaks of the snow-capped mountains that will have significance in the story. We'll see. At this point, we've seen 6 different types of terrain: a tropical region by the ocean, a rainforest, a desert, a snowy mountains, a volcano, and what I believe the largest amount of terrain will be dedicated to the forest. This is our first look at the Great Deku Tree and the location of the Master Sword. You'll also notice that on your way through the forest, many Kokiri were hanging out. Now we've seen Link in previous trailers with a fully functional Master Sword, but without the Sheikah Slate. These, I believe, are scenes from before the fall of Hyrule 100 years in the past. We know that something happened to Link and the Master Sword that left Link asleep in the Shrine of Resurrection, or dead, I don't know, there's theories about that, for 100 years, and the Master Sword rusting and broken. What exactly happened? What was powerful enough to do that to the Master Sword? Whatever the case, it seems as though the guardian of the broken Master Sword these past 100 years has been the Great Deku Tree. I want to mention the flowers here. The flowers have been in every trailer, pretty much, and even in the logo of the game. What is their significance? I honestly have no idea, but what this scene is doing is getting me super hyped about finding out. I'm just realizing how massive the world is. Here we get to see a good portion of Hyrule, but there's still so much more we can't see that I must explore. We do see horses here that we've recently discovered in the Treehouse Live event how to tame, that we can tame up to 5, and that our horses can actually die in battle. It's going to be Warhorse all over again. See, this blew me away right here. What is this makeshift bridge doing here, and why isn't Link nervous walking on it? Oh my gosh, there's so much to explore, and I want to see it all.
The history of the royal family of Hyrule is also the history of the Calamity Ganon, a primal evil that has endured over the ages.
Man, this is some good stuff. So first, I'm excited for voice acting in this game. Second, who was the old lady talking? The first person I thought of when I heard her was Impaz, also from Twilight Princess, an elderly Sheikah. My guess is that it will be someone similar, a wise old Sheikah woman who, due to their ability to live incredibly long amounts of time, was probably present during the fall of Hyrule 100 years ago and is there to impart important information to Link. The light that must shine on Hyrule once again. So this scene looks like it's the one that we saw at E3 this last year, where Link finally gets a good look at Calamity Ganon. Zombie bokoblins, moblins, and Lizalfos? Nice! What? Man, this looks like an epic boss. I know there will be plenty of overworld bosses like the Steptalis, Giant Moblin, the Guardians, but this battle looks too specific to be an overworld boss. It doesn't look like it's like in a dungeon though, so that makes me wonder how the dungeons will actually work. I'm assuming 4 to 6 major dungeons based on the climate types throughout the game, but we'll see with that. So we've heard that it's dangerous to go out in a lightning storm with the metal on, like Metal Gear on, but it looks like the metal makes you fire resistant. Well, I'm sure your wooden shield would burn immediately in this situation, but would be good when there's a lightning storm. So I like what they're doing with climate and costumes and whatnot. So if this is what I think it is, then I'm so excited for it. It looks like there might be some sort of blocking countering system where if you time it just right, you can get critical hits or something like that. I may just be overanalyzing, but that would be a very fun feature of the game. Pumpkin Shrine, whatever. Okay, so here we see some grander settlements in both the forest and desert areas. These look fantastic, and I'm so excited to explore them. I have a feeling that the settlements, villages, towns, NPCs, they're all going to play a larger role than they ever have in a Zelda game. It was confirmed that there will be many side quests you can do that you'll get from NPCs, that you can help travelers fight off bokoblins or other enemies, and that you can tame dogs with food. So bribe them to be your friends. That's so awesome. So here it looks like the volcano has erupted and destroyed all of the wildlife in its vicinity. I'm curious to see if it was a result of manipulation by the Calamity Ganon. He seems to have power to possess guardians and zombify bokoblins apparently, and I'm sure some larger bosses are under his control, the big mechanical ones that come to mind. Which are actually on the map, the back of the map that you get with the special and master editions of the game. Anyway, so he could be like this big mechanical thing that we saw earlier. Could be influenced by the destructive power of the Calamity Ganon, which could in turn activate the volcano. I don't know. Maybe that's a stretch. But it could just be a natural event. I don't think so since it's in the trailer. So my guess is the former. But anyway, we'll see with that.
That look on your face.
Oh my gosh, there's Link in front of the Deku Tree with the Master Sword right there! Take it, Link! Fulfill your destiny!
Tells me that you have no recollection of me, however.
I think you are now ready. Ready to hear what happened 100 years ago.
Ah, voice acting! Okay, so my first guess is that the man talking here is the old man that you see at the beginning of the game that gives you the paraglider, who also seems to be the father of Zelda and kind of helping you along your little journey. We will, I guess, find that out later, but like, will he hold just as much importance as the King of Red Lions did in the Wind Waker? I'm sure he will, if like not more. I don't know. I'm just super excited to find out more about that. Man, this looks like an incredible boss, and I think these are going to hold a lot of importance on the back of the map that you get for the Master Edition of the Breath of the Wild for the Switch. It does have 4 different giant mecha things. One's an elephant that matches up. One's a bird. We saw that. One's, I guess, this one. Like, I have to analyze that later. But anyway, this does look like an incredible boss we have to fight. We did get like far off footage of this monster in like other gameplay at E3 and stuff. We just didn't know that that's what it was. Now we get a close look, and man is he big. So speaking of the volcano before, perhaps this is a boss that does cause devastation that we saw earlier in the trailer from the volcano. Okay, so there's a lot here going forward. So now I'm going to take this frame by frame, so just bear with me. Right here, this has to be 100 years ago. His Master Sword is pristine, doesn't have his Sheikah Slate. Zelda seems to be in finer clothes. And have I mentioned how much I love the art style of this game? Okay, so the dungeons in this game are starting to look like some of the most elaborate, best laid out dungeons of all time, and boy am I excited to figure them all out. So, since Zelda is dressed in her white dress, which we see her in 100 years ago, this has to be in the past. This seems to be part of a specific scene I'll mention several times, but it looks like the statue of Hylia isn't in front of her. Like she's pleading to it or something. I don't know. I don't know. I wonder what that could mean. So this has to be part of the scene we see later on where Link is running with Zelda's hand in his, and her hand slipped out of his. And now we see him looking back, urgent. Since the Master Sword is there and no Sheikah Slate again, this is 100 years ago. This has to be when the calamity and the fall of Hyrule is happening. A lot has to go down in that time, and I think it's going to be a dire and hopeless situation for both Link and Zelda, and I'm excited to see how that leads to the 100-year gap, basically. So we see the reddish pink glow, meaning Ganon has taken over this rather large boss, and man, am I excited to fight this thing. I think this is the elephant on the bottom right corner, I think, of that thing. Anyway, it looks like this is also going to be in the desert. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll have to see. I'm pretty sure it is, though. So, could this be Link and Zelda's first encounter after the 100-year time skip? It seems like she's hanging out in the forest a lot while she's perhaps guiding Link, telepathy styles. Wow, dyslexic. To what he needs to do to find and restore the Master Sword within the Lost Woods. Maybe they'll be called the Lost Woods, I don't know. Also, those are pretty interesting statues, I might add. I don't know if they have any significance or meaning, but they're pretty sweet. So this is our first real look at Zelda. I gotta say, I really like the character model they did of her. I'm going to assume that anytime we see her in those blue clothes, it's after the 100 years, and anytime we see her in the white clothes or the more regal clothing, it's going to be 100 years ago. I have to say, that invasion of Hyrule looks intense. Lots of people are dying.
Everything I've done up until now, it was all for nothing.
So I'm fairly certain that this is going to be or before the 100-year gap. I think Zelda is going to play an even more integral part to the story than she ever has, meaning like she's going to be there a bunch, hopefully, or at least guiding you. I don't know. We'll see with that. But like, I'm fairly certain this is before the calamity, before the destruction of Hyrule, her despairing about what's about to happen. So here we see Link with some companions, in front of what will perhaps be a dungeon in the desert area. I'm not sure. I'll analyze this, the species a little later in the trailer because I don't think any of them are human. Man, we are all in for a very emotional ride in this game. This does match up with the other scenes we've seen with Hyrule facing its demise. Again, I'm going to try to put those together into something coherent. So I love the effect of the ice arrows. It actually reminds me of Kingdom Hearts 0.2, what we've seen of the magic system, like the blizzard spell looks exactly like that ice arrow, which is super cool. And that boss looks sick. A lot of the enemies we've seen that aren't necessarily bosses are like overworld bosses. Like, they're huge. Like, I'm so excited to fight a buttload of those. It's gonna be awesome. Gorons! Oh, they're in this game. It looks like he's up by the volcano, perhaps where you defeat the giant mecha beast thing we saw before, and my guess is that dude, huge Goron, is their leader. Don't know why he's glowing. Don't know why he's clapping. It's gonna be awesome. I just know it. But I'm excited to find more about Gorons and their role in this game, and hopefully we get a little more Goron lore behind this game. So this actually reminds me of the Queen of the Zoras in A Link Between Worlds. It looks like she's in a similar like tub thing as well with water. But we do see more fish-like creatures later that could be the Zoras, so I'm not entirely sure. Maybe she just looks different. I don't know. I don't know. That's interesting. So I'm fairly certain this is the same person we saw before that was like teaming up with Link and his posse, his entourage. So she looks like she would be of the Gerudo. Pretty dang sure about that. So this is the Zora. I'm pretty sure it's a Zora that we saw before, hanging out with Link and his buddies. He has his own, like his head has its own tail as if it were the body of a fish, but the rest of his body is humanoid as usual. The red color is definitely different, but I don't know, he also seems to be maybe a temporary companion, or at least is definitely on your side. I hope they integrate like puzzles with NPCs. That would be excellent. So here we see a female Zora. Could she possibly be the Breath of the Wild equivalent of Princess Ruto from Ocarina of Time? She seems to be handing Link something glowing, which also reminds me of the Ocarina of Time, where you save Princess Ruto to acquire Nehru's Pearl. So, I don't know. That'll be interesting to see. I'm glad they're integrating these and, like, kind of changing the style or the design of these species. And as we saw in the previous trailer, here's Falco. And he's kind of giggling to himself. But, yeah, I don't know. I just love his design. They have Gorons, the Falco people. I don't know. I want to say Rito, but they're not. And then the Zoras, I'm pretty sure. So that's awesome. So this is Zelda before the 100 years, using magic like a boss to fend off the Guardians. Looks like she's protecting Link in this case. And this may or may not be within the same sequence we've seen so far in the flashbacks. But a lot of these scenes in the last half have been flashbacks. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume it is and try to clip that together.
You must save her, my daughter.
The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. So my guess is that this is Zelda who has the goal right now of sending Link to sleep for 100 years and keeping the Mastered Sword safe. Who does she go to for help? Why, the Deku Tree, of course. Anyway, this was very revealing of story, but I'm sure they're keeping so much more hush-hush right now.
Open your eyes.
So there's my analysis of Breath of the Wild. I hope you enjoyed it. And here is me clipping those scenes together. Hopefully in the right order. It's going to be a little choppy, but I hope it makes a little sense and kind of lends a little knowledge to kind of how things happened, how they became this way, what happened prior to the 100-year gap. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.
Everything I've done up until now, it was all for nothing.
Daughter.